Good morning. It's about 7 o'clock here. Welcome back to the workshop. Today, because I can't work on the timing, that's the bamboo in the background, because I can't work on the 300, the main car today, can't get out there, not got time. It's bank holiday today, so doing stuff with the family. But I've got a couple of hours this morning. I'm going to work on the test bench for the next project. I'm slowly building up all of the components onto a test bench so I can get the whole drivetrain up and running before I then try and swap it into the car. And it'd be good for testing CAN bus and various other things for the first project as well. So I'm not going to get it assembled today, but I thought I'd walk you through the parts and where I'm at. What's currently on the printer is this. This is a piece I designed, very simple piece, that allows you to screw a BMW throttle pedal, electronic throttle pedal, to a flat surface for testing. I did have one of these for my last test bed, but I've lost it. So one of these coming up off the bamboo shortly. This is the test bench itself. Is all literally made up out of scrap wood, but it's pretty sturdy. So these are some spare legs I had from a workbench I ordered from Arbor. They sent the wrong size legs initially, so I had some spare legs, so I've used those up, and then just some scrap plywood from an old work desk, and actually this was from a project that never made it onto the channel. I had mounted on the wall of the old workshop, you may remember, an alarm system that I was trying to hack. Never quite got it right, so never made that video. But yeah, nice and sturdy, and you can see a few bits already. So starting down here, we have the Lexus IS300h inverter. Before I found out from Damien that you can actually get the connectors for here, which I need to go and buy, I'd started making an alternative, a sort of breakout box. So I do have connectors on all of those. Unfortunately, I made this bit too small, and it's very, very difficult to get your fingers in behind to put a connector in here. The plan was to have a bunch of circular connectors here, breaking out in different directions. So obviously your power lines, I think this was your serial sync, or sync serial, and I can't remember what these ones were. Probably one to the resolver and one for temperature sensors, something like that. So yeah, that's a beefy beast. Over here we have your classic Mitsubishi Outlander charger, which I'll probably be using again, at least initially. This is one I bought for the second project, that's a spare. Here we have an unmodified BMW S box. This is the one from the pack I bought for the second car. I believe I've not destroyed the pre-charge resistor in that one yet, although I do have a couple of spares on the way. Not ones that are perfect fit, or at least one that definitely won't be a perfect fit, but one that I hope might be, albeit with some minor modifications. So the plan is that that's where these components will sit, for the simple reason that they have water flowing through them, and so I wanted those above, or sorry, rather below the batteries. On the bottom here will go the actual drive unit itself, the L210 Lexus gearbox. I'm going to need some help shifting that, so one of the characters you've seen on the channel before, Andrew or Owen, will probably have to give me a hand. Hello lads, shifting this at some point when I get a chance. And then up here we have a few more bits. We have these are not the battery packs for the second car. I might swap these over. These are the battery packs that are planned to go into the first car. So this is the second battery pack for the first car. I'm sorry if this gets confusing. So this is the 5-module BMW FEV pack, same as is currently in the first car. Plan is to stick these in the boot for now, with some mounting and casing around them. Yes, I'll lose some boot space, but it'll do as a temporary measure to give me a bit more range. Long run, let's just say I might be doing something more sophisticated than that and leave it there. Whether or not that makes it onto the channel, we shall see. And then up here is where I plan to put all of the control stuff. So I'm probably going to have a laptop up here. I've got my turnkey, again some parts that I just designed and 3D printed when I was getting set up before to hold all this stuff. I've got some buttons somewhere which I've lost. Oh, here they are. So I'm probably going to rewire this. Some status LEDs if I need them. A forward and reverse switch. Some buttons to simulate whatever, probably braking. Here is the unmodified BMS cabling. I say unmodified, it's missing its clip. BMS cabling from, I think, from this pack. So I'll probably, last time I cut all this up, or rather took all the old wrap off and rearranged it rather more neatly with some Tezza tape. Just got it looking all nice. And then finally under here, well not quite finally, we have our BMW throttle pedal, which will be going into the new car, which is the simple metal stand underneath it, and then it's just waiting on that piece that's coming off the 3D printer so it can be screwed down. Breaker and radiator for cooling, so I'm going to test the cooling loop as well. We need a water pump, that's up at the storage unit at the moment. And coolant tank ready to be screwed on, just, you know, in a very haphazard fashion. I'll need to make a hose barb for that, for the right size. I have lost the one that came with it somehow. And then down here we have a bunch of high voltage cables that I'm just sorting out. We have a charging cable down there. I've got a granny cable actually, which I'll use for charging rather than that, because again I want to be able to test charging in here as well. There's a bunch of other stuff to go on there. You can see a laptop stand down there for the laptop that will go up top. And yeah, just starting to bring it all together. A few other critical bits that are going to be going into this test rig. Not got them all out, partly because some of them are in boxes, and I don't know where those boxes are. But a few interesting bits. This is an ESP32 can logger designed to work with SavvyCAN that I built for capturing logs out of my running Z3, which is where it needs to be. And yes, Andy, I will put it there. But I haven't tested that it works yet. I kind of got sidetracked and never actually tested that it worked. So I really want to test that in this test rig and just make sure that I can get logs out of it and connect to it before I start going around crimping into wires inside my running car. This is my BMS. This is the ESP32 version of Spaceballs. You can tell this board's only partially populated, but the one inside this case is fully populated. That's an ESP32 version of sort of a modified Simp BMS board that Jamie and Robert put together. So that's going to go in there for testing. I've not played with that at all yet. I'll need to hook that up to the, well, to all sorts of things, but partly to that, the connectors you saw for the battery pack. It's the same battery pack for the 6 module pack, same connector for the 6 module pack, I think. So the wiring should be the same across the two. This is another Jamie Jones creation. This is a rather hacked together PP detect, so that when you plug in your charger, this triggers a relay that can turn on power. So you plug the charger into the charging port. This detects that there's life on the PP line, flicks that relay in theory and turn things on. This is part of my efforts to get charging automated. If you've been watching for a while, you know that I was still charging by plugging a laptop in to manually send CAN bus commands when I last had the car running. So I need to sort that out, and that's part of that. Nice little fuse box. So this time around, I'm not planning to rip out all of the BMW electrics and redo them. I'm going to bolt on the side. I may even leave the ECU in and spoof signals to the ECU rather than do what I did last time, which is completely rip everything out. I'm hoping that'll be an easier way to keep the dash running, even though I'm going to modify the dash. I'm going to want things like ABS, etc., to work. So a bolt-on fuse box, and then the heart of it all, zombie verteboard. This one's unpopulated at the moment. I'm missing one chip, which I have on order from LCSC. It's on its way. As soon as that arrives, I'm not going to solder this up, having killed my first EV BMW board. I'm going to take this over to a good guy around the corner who can solder this up for me, put all these little teeny parts on, including the QFP chip, the one that's missing that goes there, and get that all soldered up around the corner. And it all goes in this very nice aluminium case. So I'll actually get him to put the headers on for that as well, so that I can just literally plug it in and go once it's all soldered up. Obviously not looking forward to pinning the connectors and putting all that together, because that's never any fun. And also wrestling with the challenge of, I've got to make all this up for the test bench, but what I don't want to do is waste connectors and wire and not be able to extend it all out when I put it on the actual car. So trying to work out what to do about that. Again, I've got a load of wire coming so that I can start to make up loom. I was hoping to have some of that today, so I could start making up the loom today. That's not quite arrived. If the camera's wobbling, that's the 3D printer going nuts in the background. We should have that mounting bracket within the hour. So that's where I'm at. Our printer's just finished. No errors in there. Pull this out, see if we can do this in one hand. This is the textured PEI plate. Just pops off. Nice textured bottom. We all like a textured bottom. Look how clean that print is. Love this machine. Let's get that installed. Around the back, I've started experimenting with layout. I think this is probably wrong. Don't like how close the junction box, safety box is to liquid filling. Probably move this up, shift the batteries forward a bit, rotate around, it'll give me a bit more space here as well. Got an earth distribution point, I have a 12 volt battery on this level as well, I think. Maybe the level below, but ideally this level. Leave all the bottom for the drive unit. Got my BMS wiring in. Need to make up an adapter between here, which is basically just DuPont spacing, so 2.54 millimeter spacing, and here, which is the BMS unit. Not sure where my PP detector is going to go yet. I'm going to 3D print, where's it gone? It's all tangled. I'm going to 3D print an adapter to hold the Type 1 charge point at the front so I can plug in the granny and test charging. On the printer now is a 3-way relay holder. You can see I've got a 2-way already that I designed ages ago. I've just cut that up in Fusion, expanded it out. Then I can have a 3-way, so on, charge, run, which is the same layout I have in the current car, and I'm very happy with that. It gives me nice control. So I'll flip it all around, and you can see where I'm at the front. Forgive the mess over here, by the way. I'll do an updated video, maybe a short on this at some point. Some design revisions needed. This is the flip down rear number plate with the charge ports for the main car. So up front, we've got our buttons mounted, we've got our key switch mounted, we've got our pedal nice and strongly mounted, so we can plug that in. This slides around a bit at the moment, so I'll have to fix that. Got a breaker here for the power steering pump. Actually quite tempted to get that hooked up as well, just to test it. Then I can do some canvas experimentation with that and see if anybody's worked out how to vary the speed yet. So getting there, not long until I can start to actually plug some wires in. A little bit of 3D printing done. This is an angled bracket for the Type 1 port. Hard to do with one hand. I knocked this up quickly on Fusion earlier. Anyway, you'll see it in a minute. It all goes together quite nicely. Another thing on there now, a bracket for, oh, you can only see my reflection. Problem with shiny new toys. A bracket for the 3 relays. Did print one out. Tried just mucking around based on the dimensions of this one for basically expanding this one out and got the dimensions slightly wrong. So I've just remeasured, sketched it back out and put it back on the printer. So yeah, let's get this screwed on. There we go, 3 relays in the nice little 3D printed housing. Ignore the wiring, this is from previous installations. But 1 hour to print that, about 10 minutes to design it. Nice and neat. So that can go in, ready to go. You'll note I'm not using that nice, this thing over here, ignore the mess. By the way, somebody asked me if I had one of these the other day, and the answer was yes, but it's knackered. This one's all broken. And it looks like I'm going to need half of it for reusing the BMW connectors. So this is how I'm going to get HV out of the S box into just some standard cables I can run down to the inverter and to the charger. So yeah, sorry, whoever wanted one of those, I need at least half of it. And I don't have the other side. Anyway, yeah, I'm not using this yet because I can't find enough of the inserts. They all came with it. They are somewhere, but in the move out of the garage, I've temporarily lost them. I've found the box, not found the inserts. So I'll maybe use that when I go to the full install. This will do for now. Right, I'm shattered. I'm going to leave it there. But you can see some good progress. We've got the, I'm going to use up these old fuse boxes from previous projects, some of them quite old, to distribute 12 volts around. Got my clamp hooked up for my earth wires. I've de-pinned one end of the connector that goes into the BMS inside the BMW S box, so I've got a connector off here now, so I can basically just make up an adapter off there. Again, it's just 2.54. There's only one wire that doesn't go into that actually. It goes actually direct to the external connector, so I've had to clip that off. I don't have any inserts for here, but I'll see if I can find one or solder one up or something, so it can all just drop into there, and this can just be my adapter into whatever I use to control this. There is a rumour that the Zombie can now control this and take data out of the shunt in here. So we'll see if that proves to be true. So yeah, a lot of wiring to go. I'm still waiting on a bunch of wire to make this all work. I've stripped the heavy cable off the DC to DC on the inverter because I'm not going to be using that. I'm hoping I can disable that in Zombie, and added a heavy cable to the output of the one on the charger, so that can go into the battery. Yeah, good progress really. Lots to do, but a good start. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Very random. Hope it's not too long. I'll catch you on the next one. Please do like and subscribe. Next week, I'm going to be moving the car out of the unit. I'm not sure when you're going to see that video, but it should be back on my drive less than a week from now for me. So that to look forward to. Bye bye.